When Maple Leaf Customs asks you to build a Porsche, you go out to your barn and you find one. Hey there folks, Chuck here, and welcome to my submission for Andrew at Maple Leaf Customs annual Porsche Pay It Forward giveaway spectacular. Trying something a little different here with my voiceover, where I just talk about the overall process while you watch the build. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments about any particular processes. Most of these are pretty typical to my regular builds. For those who don't know, Andrew over at Maple Leaf Customs has a thing every year on the anniversary of his channel where he asks diecast customizers, especially those on YouTube and Instagram, to build a custom car to celebrate the event and give away the car however they see fit. Now, this is the third year that he's doing it, and I participated in one previously, and he asked me to build a special car for a giveaway through his channel. So if you like this build, go over and check the link in the description, go over to Maple Leaf Customs, and hopefully I can get this video up in time and you'll still see how you can enter to win it. My first build was a Porsche 356 Hot Wheels, so this go around I wanted to do a Matchbox car, and I really like this semi-premium casting that they do that has opening doors. It's a 1980 Porsche 911, and I think these cars look really good in light blue, so I went with a pale blue on it. All the pretty typical notes. I used AK Interactive Rust Primer over the pale blue, used Tamiya black panel liner to fill everything in. And the big thing that I've learned in weathering is it's all about how much you take off as much as you put on. So with panel liner, there's always going to be a little extra. So the biggest thing to learn about mastering panel liner is how much you take off, as much as it is about how much you put on. I wanted this to be a barn find project car, or something that somebody had been working on and maybe wrecked and then put away and forgot about. It has things like mismatched seats in the interior and a pretty big dent on the back fender where maybe somebody lost control, because these things do like to oversteer, and then threw it under a tarp and put it in a barn. So I wanted the car to be very dusty and battered and looked like somebody had started to take the tarp off and maybe get back to it and then forgotten it sat for another few years. Again, a big shout out to Andrew at Maple Leaf Customs for the challenge and the honor of being one of the select people for this special giveaway. You may have noticed that there's more than one interior happening here, and that's because I'm trying something new with my builds where if I can, I will build 2 or 3 cars at the same time. And I use those cars as ways to reward patrons, and if I have enough extras, I can sell one and help support this project, or keep one for myself, because I'm realizing I've built 56 cars and I think I've still got maybe 8 or 9 of them in my possession. But that's part of the fun, is giving away. I know Andrew has built hundreds of cars, and he gives away every single one of them to charity or to kids in need, which is a very special thing. And that's one of the reasons why I like supporting Andrew on his project. And I'm honored that Andrew is a patron of this channel and he supports me. So it's a nice way to give a shout out to him and to help with a great cause. The car that you're seeing in this build is the A car, or the hero car if we were doing movie talk. And the other cars, one is a reverse, because I always have to do something to make things tricky. One will be given away and one will be kept for myself. I wanted to go very light on the rust for this one because I knew it would be dusty. So before I even laid the dust down, I took white and mixed just a little bit of the pale blue in with it to give some faded paint look to the top, and then went over it with light and medium rust deposits to create that really nice mottled effect. And then in the darker spots, go in with chocolate brown, which is commonly used for chipping in military builds. Makes a really nice chipping effect. I did not bust out the pencils for this one because the pencils do take a lot of extra time, and I was a little bit pressed for this because I was trying to get these finished so I could get out the door for a family vacation to Knoxville, which is actually where I am sitting and recording this right now. These are the Hot Wheels Real Riders, again, from the pack. The other two cars were Superfasts that came with rubber tires and custom wheels on them already, so I just went with those. I tried to be fairly accurate with the interior because I went with the one door missing, so that made the interior that much more noticeable. So I wanted to make sure I got things right, like the dark brown dashboard on a tan interior and the black gauges, the black steering wheel. I did a lot of washes on the inside, including panel liner and make dirt wash and AK Interactive interior wash, which gave it a nice dusty gray green. I went very light on the taillights, probably too light on the taillights because I wanted them to look faded and sunbeaten. And this was the part that I always think is going to be easier than it actually is, but the effect is incredible. It's just tissue paper and glue and water. And I used Elmer's Extreme Glue, which is basically somewhere between regular school glue and wood glue. And I just used one of those little Dollar Tree painter's palettes, and I put a little glue in, and then I filled the rest of it up with water, and that was enough to do 3 tarps. And then I did the trick that I really liked on the Dodge Charger build that I did, where you have a rag jammed in the gas cap. So I had drilled a hole for that to go into, and then I took a little bit of tissue paper. Well, on the Charger, I used clay, and I wish I had done clay with this one, but again, I was pressed for time, and the tissue paper was right there, so I thought I went with it. And it turned out okay. Originally, I went with kind of a yellow ochre color, and it was a little too bland for the tarp. I wanted it to look like an actual tarp, so I went back with a brighter yellow and mixed some yellow ochre in to brighten it up. And I did that because I knew that the hinge tarp would be a lot darker and dustier once I did all of the different washes. I used Big Subtle Dirt Wash, and I used, I think it's called Oiled Earth or something like that from Vallejo over top of it at the end, and then did some pigments on top. I used the City Road pigment from Vallejo, and that really gave it a nice dusty look. And I used a Jim's Gauzy on the windshield, but then of course I went over it with dust and negated all that. But I know that the Gauzy still shows through on the parts where I take the pigment off, and it still gives it a nice glass look, even though it is mostly covered up. It still gives that illusion of gloss. So you can see the dust really brings it alive, really makes it look like it's been sitting in a barn. And then went back through with a white Q-tip and wiped off the excess parts where it would look like somebody had wiped the dust away from the windows. And it's time for the decal and the number. As you can see, this is 56A. And here's what I started with, because I didn't remember to put it on the turntable before I went into stripper. I took this photo for the headlight reference. But anyway, let's see how it turned out. And there it is. I'm really happy with how the tarp turned out. Again, it's one of the easiest ways to get a really good result on your model, and it's as simple as tissue paper, the same kind of tissue paper that you put in a gift bag, and a little white glue and a little water. And then you just paint over it once it's dry with whatever craft paint you want. add some dust effects, some washes, and you're there. And it's about as realistic as you can get for a tarp. Again, I'd like to thank Andrew of Maple Leaf Customs for hosting this event, and please go over and check out his channel and see the other builders and what they came up with and how you can win this one. I'm still not exactly sure how that works, so again, please check out his channel. I want to thank my patrons, as always, for being such amazing supporters of the show, including Andrew. Thank you again for giving me the encouragement and the money to cover all of the different things that keep this and Diecast Breakdown running, and so grateful you're here, and thank you for bearing with us as we're figuring out how to take all of this stuff and make it workable while we all do our day jobs. Maybe someday we won't always have to do that, but until then, I want to thank you for coming along with me for the ride. So until next time, stay fresh, cheese bags.